Welcome to the show today. Today we're going to be doing a little bit more football. You know, we've got tons of football customers out there buying K-Bands, so we've got some more drills that we found from Aaron Donald. You know, these aren't just new drills. Of course, we've been doing these types of drills for a long time, but I tell you, it's been super cool to see this Play Football NFL channel or whatever has put together a couple different pro athletes running through some drills. And you don't know if these are drills that they specifically wanted or if, you know, they just kind of put it together to help the kids out. But either way, it's a pretty neat thing that they did. You know, you spend a little time out there, show people what they do.
It's good to see these NFL guys breaking down. They're doing a lot of the same drills that maybe everybody's doing.
Right.
You get a chance to see that they do these too.
So this is going to be a circuit that you can set up. If you're working with some young athletes that haven't done many of these types of football drills, take a look at the footage. We'll kind of break down each movement and give you some recommendations on when you should be doing them, how many reps and sets, and some of those things that these younger kids might be doing wrong. The first exercise is going to be a simple little bag drill. If you don't have bags, you can use other types of things, whether it be a row of cones, but you want to get something a little off the ground, right? We don't want to just have a t-shirt or something laying low, because the idea of the bag drill is always to get your knees up. That's the point, right?
Yeah, and oftentimes you'll watch athletes, and at some point when they're not lifting the knee, when you're not driving, staying under control, either your front foot is going to hit that bag or you're going to drag your back foot to the bag. You want to make sure that you're going over the bag.
Well, fundamentally, it's important that you're training the hip flexor. Just as most speed drills, you can always see that someone's got great knee drive, and that's where your speed's going to come from. So a bag drill concept kind of just drives that home. In the exercise, you'll see he goes 1 foot over each bag, and then he's going to mix that up after a couple repetitions with the 1. You'll do 2 feet in each bag. And we have to say it, we've seen it before. What always happens is when you get the 2 feet movement going, these kids come in, they're too hot and heavy. They lean forward too much, and by the end of the last bag that you get to, it seems as though it's very difficult to keep their balance. They end up kicking the bag. So make sure that you get a distinct difference in the movements. When you have 1 foot going over, it's more of a sprint through. You're driving your knee up, and there's much more forward momentum. When you're doing 2 feet per, what that's going to train is a little bit more body control. You're going to be very explosive with your feet, but you've got to take some of that forward momentum out of it, or you're definitely going to fail towards the end of the exercise.
I think your body position is important, because if you're leaning too far forward, all those bad things can start to happen, especially in that where you're trying to put 2 feet in there.
Yeah, most of the time, speed and agility training is literally just trying to build body awareness and control. So a lot of these movements, as silly as they may seem, if you're not quite an advanced athlete and you don't get the movements, the reason why you need to be pushing through all these things is to train your body to have a great center. And most of these bag drills and different things are going to challenge that. You're going to train the proper muscle groups, but yet body control is so much more important in the game of football, in soccer, in anything that's moving side to side, way more than just running a linear sprint.
I saw a video a couple days ago where it was a drill similar to this, but they went tap, tap, tap. And I thought, oh boy, if that could be a comedy.
Yeah, no doubt. But when you do this drill specifically, you want to run down single leg. You can do single leg back and forth, then do your double taps. And if you're fresh to this exercise and you've never done it before and you feel as though you need a little bit more training on the movements, you're rushing through the bags, you don't have good knee drive, as always, you can do a couple more reps and sets. 4 to 6 sets of each of those exercises. Not going to cash you. It's a pretty short exercise. It's not really long. So get in some of those, and then we'll move into the second exercise. This exercise, you're going to move it into a shuffle. Now, notice he does it a little bit different than some athletes may have seen before. A standard bag drill, you're really trying to get lateral and then stay in that position as you move forward. There's not as much of a hip shift. But here, you know, he's a DN, so that's probably pretty important for him to be able to drop, move around the hip, and gain ground forward, because that's what he does every day in trying to get to the quarterback, right?
I think part of what he's doing is when he does that hip shift, you got to make sure that you're under control, that you don't go too far out and all of a sudden your momentum takes you off balance.
Yeah, don't gain ground too far, or then you're almost moving backwards to get back through those bags. But, you know, the standard version of a bag drill, you know, you've got each one of them 1 yard apart. You're moving through, and you're always kind of trying to train hip stay square, so you're working lateral. But like I said, in this specific one, if you're a DN, his version of it is actually pretty unique and pretty smart to do. If you're trying to gain ground around a corner, you may start trying to do that specific movement. Just bring the hip forward just a little bit. And then, of course, you got to go a little bit quicker maybe. I don't know that he was giving his all on that specific one. I've seen some guys really move at a younger age, but I don't know. You see Aaron Donald play. He'll rip your head off.
I'm telling you.
He got that big check this year,
Well, and again though, he's moving those hips, and then when he needs to, he can move back that other direction. So, I hadn't seen this like that very much, and looking at different drills, I like that.
Yeah, he's next exercise, just keep it moving here. You're going to take those same bag drills, and again, you've got all these variations that you can move pretty quick through. You're going to laterally slide through them, and then you'll have a bit of a sprint out. Younger kids, keep it tighter. These are always great for groups. I mean, if you've got a little bit of time at the end of practice, setting up a little line of bag drills and have 15 minutes or so where everybody can get a lot of repetitions, it's a really good place to set this kind of a movement. But on the lateral high knees, we made a video of this, 2010 or something. It's a great exercise, getting your knees up. If you want more resistance, add K-bands to them. It really fits these types of movements perfectly. But one thing you'll notice for sure, if you've got a young athlete that seems to be moving down laterally, most often you see dead arms that aren't really going with their legs very much. Body control is essential in agility drills. So you want to make sure that you're always staying conscious of your arms. And then you've always got that little bitty leaky hip.
Well,
you always got
them leaning.
You lean in, and then you kind of open the hip towards the end. And sometimes it's one bag, then it's two bags. And by the end of the drill, you're kind of turning it into a frontward sprint almost at the end. So,
well, I think you get to a point, some of them, where they feel like, I'm not going to make that last bag.
Yeah, but that's where you got to refrain not to do that. You got to stay laterally all the way through and utilize that last bag to be the trigger to react. We've seen those. We shot a video the other day talking with a linebacker and how he was moving. This is the moment where you're repeating that type of a process. When you're coming out of the bags, you're reading the quarterback and it's time to accelerate. That's where you're doing that. You want to stay sideways. You want to stay moving laterally, keep the hips square to the quarterback, and then you'll turn the hips and sprint all at once.
I think when you're watching this drill too, you notice that when he does open it up, he's gone through the sequence of the bags. You don't want to open up too early. Now you're off balance. You don't have the momentum going. So those are great things to work on.
Now you've got what they called the footwork gauntlet, I believe it is.
And he's giving you a little running back. All linemen want to be a running back. Yeah, so he snuck this one in.
Yeah, why not? Get a little bit of movement, get some agility moving. It looks like a combination move. You've got some kind of an agility tap sequence at the beginning, 2 ladder sequences, and then a bit of a tuck jump there in the middle. If you spend some time, if you're just listening to this on Spotify or something, make sure you review the video, or else it's going to be a little bit more difficult to see. But generally, you don't exactly need the exact equipment that you have here. Just make sure that if you have a tuck jump sequence over the middle 2 bags, you've got something to kind of indicate get up a little higher. We don't really want anything flat when we're trying to show guys getting over something. So make sure you got some tall cones, or maybe even a chair if you're really advanced, or a sweatshirt or a gym bag can do.
Something to give you the idea, I've got to explode and get over this. This is a different dynamic going through this drill.
Yeah, the touch sequences in the beginning are going to be just simple footwork. He used an icky shuffle through the ladder. I guess we should kind of break it down slowly. The first part is a bit of a tap sequence. You'll go in, out, and then you'll kind of move quickly to the icky shuffle down a ladder. And then you're going to scoot to the side just a little bit, and that tuck jump is kind of a unique exercise to stick in the middle of these big compound movements. We shot that bunch of footage a long time ago with that pro soccer guy, and we would make big, long sequences like this, and watching that guy move he's just really quick. So it was kind of nice to see when you move from an agility standpoint to a tuck jump, and you see an advanced level athlete do it. That movement is not quite as easy.
No, it's not.
If you're not very advanced.
And you get that momentum going, and now you've got to explode because possibly you're engaged with somebody, and then you're going back to trying to make a move, go through them or around them.
Right. So in the tuck jump, what we're talking about now is when you get to that piece of it, you want to break down a little bit, and then you've got to go up. So knees come up, use your arms when you jump, but that is just a big indication of definite high-level body control. And, of course, this isn't just high school kids can't do this. This is when you get into middle school, that's a difficult exercise for someone to just move out of an agility drill and just seamlessly hit the tuck jump and then move right back into the icky shuffle. So spend a little bit of time. You may not want to put it quite so far out to the outside if they're younger. If they're a little bit more advanced, these dimensions that he's got is pretty great. The next exercise kind of correlates to an awful lot of sports, but it can be great for football as well. There's a lot of reaction off the quarterback. There's a lot of things that have to happen at as soon as the ball is hiked. And the reaction drill is one that's used a lot of times in baseball, trying to teach infielders to move quickly, but it can work here as well. There's some different types of balls that you can buy that have textures or things that make them bounce sporadically. But overall, they're using a tennis ball here in this reaction drill. You have a coach or a trainer or dad, whoever's with you, maybe a mom. You drop the ball, and the athlete will sprint towards the ball and try to catch it before it hits the ground. You can do this from a lot of different distances depending on your drop height, but overall you just want to make sure that you're in a good ready position and you sprint forward and catch the ball before it hits the ground. It's not exactly rocket science. It's pretty simple to do, and athletes of all ages can do it, but it does train good hand-eye coordination. It helps you, one crazy thing about catching a ball is that when you're running heavy on your toes, your head moves an awful lot. Well, in the game of football, baseball, lots of sports, you have to have hand-eye coordination sprinting. So the nice thing about a reaction ball drill like this is, can you be as explosive as possible and then settle your feet enough to see the ball to catch it?
Well, you've got times where you may be off balance or somebody shoves you and all of a sudden you're in that catch mode and you need to be able to keep going. If you're rushing and you're trying to get to the quarterback, you're not always going to get to his shoulder pads. You may get to his mid-body or his legs, and if the ball pops out, you need to be ready to get it.
Yeah, you've got to be able to adjust, and that's why this drill can be great. Some of those texture balls sure do add a lot to it. When we've done different drills with groups, you do different drop heights, or you can even sling it at the ground a bit, just because most of them are a little bit bouncy. But when they've got that change of direction angle to it, it does work pretty well when it can be sporadic where it goes, similar to a football on a fumble.
You notice where he's dropping the ball. He's not doing it way up here. He's doing it about mid-height. He's making you really work to get to it.
Yeah, and you can challenge your athletes with different lengths. So if you're going to have them at a farther distance, you can have a higher drop. But really, this drill shines on short distances. Set them about 5-8 yards away, and that drop height, keep it awfully low, because you got to get guys being very explosive right out of the beginning and being able to react is probably where this drill shines the most.
I think you'll have fun with it too.
Yeah, it's a good thing to mix up. I think that whenever you do a reaction drill or any type of ball-specific movement that's similar to a sport, just the kids like it more.
Well, yeah, you got to have a little fun.
Overall, though, it's a great group of exercises. Again, we've kind of said this in previous videos. If you're looking for a little bit of a sequence, the best way to do some of this in the summer when you're getting ready for your season to come up is take yourself about 15-20 minutes and get 3 or 4 stations. Especially for football, this works perfect. Get 4 stations that kind of you can move between, about 5 minutes at each one. Run through these. These exercises are going to be a great example. And if you want something a little bit more specific or something where you can literally watch every rep and set, at kbandstraining.com, if you go to kbandstraining.com/download, I've got some training programs there that really fit the mold here that can help you improve your speed and agility pretty great.